Back in the early 2000s, if you're not familiar, Nickelback got more radio airtime than any other band in North America. Only it was the band we all hated. Do you even know why? I didn't until I found this.
No one talks about the studies that show that bad music makes people violent. Like Nickelback makes me want to kill Nickelback.
That was from Brian Posehn, who you might recognize from The Big Bang Theory and The Sarah Silverman Show. That 10 seconds of video from the early 2000s. And now, all these years later, Nickelback is still a hit, drawing 10,000 people for a free show at the Toronto Film Festival. And that was 3.5 times as many people than were expected to attend. The band had their biopic documentary open at that festival. That's one of the reasons they had this free concert that all the people showed up to. One of the things that's really interesting, though, about this documentary, they commissioned it. So this isn't like the big let's remember Nickelback with nostalgia that somebody decided we needed to have out there. They decided this needed to be out there.
So we've seen over the last couple of years this trend of looking back toward musicians from 10, 15, 20 years ago and reevaluating them, right? And so stories that I've read include Hootie and the Blowfish. I was certainly among the millions who bought Cracked Review in 1990, whenever that was, right? Sheryl Crow, our own University of Missouri's own Sheryl Crow, who I was a big fan of back in her early work.
If it makes you happy. Can't be that bad. Sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's great. And I think that there's a lot of value for us culturally in thinking back and saying, well, how can we consider the ways in which these artists might have been slighted, right? And I have nothing wrong with that view looking back at Nickelback as well, thinking about them in that same way. It's just that maybe a little bit less meaningful when they're incentivizing it and paying for it themselves.
It ain't the last waltz. Okay, the band. Okay. So I'm going to show my boomerism here. I had no clue until you showed me this, but I do think it's kind of funny and kind of cheekily ironic.
Gen Xers over here having a moment.
Right, yeah, but I thought it was funny that they did this, and so that would raise them a little bit in my estimation, that they were willing to take a satirical view of themselves.
Okay, well, so one of the reasons that everybody loved to hate Nickelback, to fill in some of those outside of our generation, all of their music sounds the same. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Like, they found a pattern and they just ran with it, album after album.